your default profile actually. But if I want to access your development profile or testing profile now, what we have to configure?
Application
profiles.active.
So Spring.profiles.active is equal to here you have to give dev or test or prod like that you have to give it actually. And in each properties file we have defined two properties we have defined. What are the two properties we have defined?
Port and message.
Port and message.
Actually. So how I can able to access the value from how I can able to access the information from the properties file to the controller program? We have to use what annotation?
Value.
Other rate value annotation. We have to use an annotation called other rate value annotation. So clear guys about the yesterday's concept?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can anyone share your screen?
Shall I share some?
Yeah, please.
Properties.
So in the case of your profiling, we have to create different profile and profiles for properties we have to create it. So how you create the properties file? Application hyphen your profile name actually. Application hyphen profile name dot properties. So essentially created three profiles here. Application hyphen dev dot properties. Application hyphen properties. Okay. And if I want to, so by default my Spring Boot will be accessing which profile it will be accessing?
Application.properties.
Application.properties profile. That is your default profile actually. But if I want to access your development profile or testing profile now, what we have to configure?
Application
Profiles.active.
So Spring.profiles.active is equal to here you have to give dev or test or prod like that you have to give it actually. And in each properties file we have defined two properties we have defined. What are the two properties we have defined?
Port and message.
Port and message.
So how I can able to access the value from how I can able to access the information from the properties file to the controller program? We have to use what annotation?
Value.
Other rate value annotation. We have to use an annotation called other rate value annotation. So clear guys about the yesterday's concept?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Can anyone share your screen?
Shall I share some?
Yeah, please. Okay, open your Spring Boot 4 project itself. Yesterday project itself, open it, Spring Boot 4 project. And in the yesterday Spring Boot 4 project, we are discussing about the profiling concept actually. Okay, and in order to do profiling, what property we have to configure in your application.properties file? What property we have to configure in your application.properties file in order to do your profile? Yeah, Spring.profiles.active. Okay, Spring.profiles.active. So now if I want to do my profiling through your properties file now, then I can go for a thing called Spring.profiles.active actually. But if I want to control the if I want to control the program based upon the profile programmatically, if I want to control now, then we have an annotation called as your other rate profile annotation. Okay, we have an annotation called as your other rate
Profile annotation.
profile annotation. And what is the purpose of this other rate profile annotation? Now, if I want to control the programs based upon the profiles programmatically, if I want to control now, in that case, I can able to go for a concept called as your other rate profile concept. Okay, I can go for a concept called as your other rate profile concept. Okay, so now we created different profiles. We have created test profile and development profile, production profile like that. We have different profiles we have created. And if I want to use any one of the profile, if I want to use it now in my application.properties file, what I have to define? I have to define an annotation called as
Profile.
sorry, in your properties file, we have to define what is it? Property called as what property we have to define?
Profile.
That we have to define it. But now, what is my objective now? I want to do the I want to do the profiling programmatically. I want to do it actually. So how I can able to do that actually? So everyone go to your SRC main resources. SRC main Java folder. Expand your SRC main Java. Okay, so now right click your com.pack.spring boot 4 package and create a new class. Create a new class. Right click the com.pack.spring boot 4 and create a new class. Create a new class. So give the class name as app config. Give the class name as app config. App config. Anything you can give. I'm giving as app config. Finish. App config. Finish. So now I created a class called your app config class actually, and I want to work. This particular app config class should be working only when my profile is my production profile. Okay, if there is another profile now, like maybe a development profile or testing profile and all, this program should not be working. Okay, this app config class should not be working. So this app config class when it should be working only if my profile is production profile. Okay, only if my profile is production profile actually. So if I want to control any program based upon the profiling concept. Okay, if I want to control any program based upon the profiling concept now, in that case you have to use what annotation we have to use it?
Profile.
Profile annotation. And wait. So before that, I want to indicate it as one of a bean program. I want to indicate it. So how I'll be indicating this is one of a bean program? How you'll be indicating this particular program is one of a bean program? Other rate component. Or even instead of using other rate component, even we can able to use what? Other rate? In Spring we have studied now, where we have defined a collection of it's not bean actually. Other rate. It also starts with C.
Configuration.
Configuration actually. So either you can go for other rate configuration or I can go for other rate component in order to represent the bean. Anything I can able to use it. So here I'm going to use my other rate configuration. So define an annotation called other rate configuration. Next annotation, I want to invoke this program only at the time of which profile? Production profile. So we are going to use an annotation other rate profile inside your bracket like double quotes like you prod. Inside your bracket double quotes give it as prod. Double quotes like give it as prod. So this particular program will be invoking only if my profile is what?
Production
profile. Okay, production profile. Now inside that particular class we are going to create one method. We are going to create public void print. Public void print. And inside that just print system.out.println. System.out.println. Production profile. System.out.println. Production profile. Okay, so I have indicated this particular class has to be invoked only if my profile is
Production.
production. So we have used an annotation for profile annotation actually. Apart from this, when this method has, okay, this has a class and this class contains so many methods it will be containing, but here I created only one method called as
Print.
print method actually. So when this method has to be invoked actually. So before this method, I'm going to define one more annotation called as your @post construct annotation. @post construct annotation. @post construct annotation. Import from your javax.annotation.post construct. Import from your javax.annotation.post construct. So now this program will be invoking if my profile is production profile, and in that particular program, I want to invoke the print method at the time of calling my production profile itself, because we have called at the time of post construct itself. Post construct now at the time of calling your app config class itself, this particular method print method will be called actually. Okay. Now go to your application.properties file. So what is the profile we have configured?
Production.
Production profile. Okay. Now everyone save it and run the program. Everyone save it and run the program. Everyone save it and run the program, and go to your console. Everyone save it and run the program and go to your console. So in the prod profile it was calling actually, and since the profile is prod, it was invoking which class? It was invoking
App config. App config
app config class, and inside this app config class at the time of loading, because we called your post construct, so at the time of loading itself we are calling your print method. And is it printing as production profile in the console?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Is it printing production profile in the console?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Yes or no for others?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now everyone go to your application.properties file and change prod to dev. Go to your application.properties file and change prod to dev. DEV. So now we are referring which profile we are referring? Development profile. So whenever you refer your development profile, will that particular app config will be executed?
No, sir.
No. So check your console whether it is printing production profile or not.
No, sir.
No, it won't be printing actually. Okay, it won't be printing because, and check in the second line also, it was referring your development profile, it was referring actually. So it should not print what? It should not be printing
Production profile.
production profile, because that particular class or that particular program will be invoked only if my profile is
Production.
So we are controlling the program based upon the profile. We are controlling the program with the help of an annotation called as your
Profile.
profile annotation. Okay, with the help of an annotation called as your profile annotation. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
So now, as I already told before, my Spring Boot by default it will be reading the configuration from which file it will be reading.
Application.properties file.
That is present inside your resources folder. Okay, that is present inside your resources folder actually. Okay, normally the application.properties file should be present inside your resources folder only, it should be present, and by default your Spring Boot will reading the configuration from your application.properties file. So now everyone go to your SRC main resources. Everyone go to your SRC main resources. Okay, now right click your SRC main resource. Right click your SRC main resource. New file. New file. Right click your SRC main resources. New file. So give the file name as custom.properties. Give the file name as custom.properties. Custom.properties. Finish. Custom.properties. Finish. Okay. So now we created my own property file called as what property I created?
Custom.properties.
Custom.properties file. And inside this custom.properties file, now I'm going to define some properties I'm going to define. And we have already discussed what my properties file will be containing. Collection of what my properties file will be containing. Collection of what?
Key and value pair.
A key and value pair, and both the key and value should be in the form of what?
String.
String. Yeah. So now we are going to define some properties. We are going to define it. So type employee dot name is equal to employee dot name is equal to. So give some name. Just give some name. Next line. Employee dot age is equal to 25. Employee dot salary is equal to 30,000. Employee dot salary is equal to 30,000. So now what we have defined actually, so we have defined some properties inside my own file called as your custom dot properties. Okay, we'll come back actually. So now everyone go to your C folder, go to your C colon folder. Everyone go to your C colon folder. Not here. Everyone go to the folder C colon. Go to the folder location, ma. Go to the C colon. Inside that, create a folder called properties. Create a folder called properties. Create a folder called properties. Properties. So open a notepad. Just open a notepad. Open a notepad. Have you everyone opened it, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Employee dot email is equal to give some email ram@gmail.com, something you give. Employee dot email is equal to. Next is employee dot address is equal to Chennai. Something you can give something. Okay. So here now save this program as custom one dot properties. Save this program as custom one dot properties inside your what folder? Properties folder. Inside your properties folder, and change that to all files. Change that save as type to be all files. Otherwise, it won't be working. Change the save as type to the all files. File name to be custom.properties file and go and save inside your properties folder. You're searching in Java training folder. C colon save it inside your properties folder. C colon save it inside your properties folder as custom.properties. And at the time of saving, change that save as type option to be all files. Finished, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now I created two properties file I created. One is we call it a custom.properties that is present inside your resources folder itself. Another one is custom1.properties that is present inside your C colon latest present. And we have already studied Spring Boot by default will read all the configuration from which file?
Application.
Application.properties
File actually. Okay, application.properties file actually. But now how my Spring Boot can able to read the information from your custom.properties as well as your custom1.
Properties.
Okay, that is one thing we are going to discuss. Second thing is that, and as we have already discussed, if I want to access any information from the properties file to my program, now we have to use what annotation?
Added value.
Value annotation. So if you see custom.properties, we have three properties. We have custom1.properties, we have two properties there. So then we have to call this value. How many times we have to call?
2 times.
Only 2 times.
No, sir, 5 times.
5 times we have to call it because custom.properties we have 3 property. Custom1.properties we have 2 property. So totally we have 5 properties are there. So if I want to access any information from the property file to a program, now we'll be using an annotation called
Value annotation.
Value.
Now I have to call this value annotation. How many times I have to call it?
5 times.
5 times.
5 is also a small number only. But consider my properties file contains hundreds and hundreds of properties are there. Now then we have to use my value annotation 100 times I have to call it actually. So instead of doing like this, if I want to map the property file to your Bean program, okay, so we are going to map the resources from the properties file to a separate Bean program. Okay, we are going to map it. So for that purpose, we are going to use an annotation called as your configuration properties annotation. Okay, we are going to use an annotation called configuration properties annotation. So as I already told before, if I want to access a property from a properties file to a program, now we'll be using an annotation called what annotation? Value annotation. But if I use my value annotation now, for one property we have to separately define
One annotation.
value you have to define it. So in case if my properties file contain 50 properties now, then I have to call my value. How many times I have to call it?
3 times.
3 times I have to call it. Instead of doing like this, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to map all the properties information present in the properties file to a separate what program?
Configuration.
No, what program? I'm going to map the
Bean
properties.
program.
What program?
Bean
Bean
program.
program actually. So that particular program has to be annotated by an annotation called
Configuration properties.
properties annotation. Okay, configuration properties annotation. Okay, everyone go to your Eclipse. So I might be going to your package com.pack.springboot4, right click, create a new class. Com.pack.springboot4, right click and create a new class. So give the class name as employee properties, employee props, props, employee props. Finish. Okay, so first I have to indicate this is one of a Bean program with the help of what annotation?
Configuration.
Configuration. Configuration. Give it as configuration. Because I want to indicate it is one of a Bean program, so I want to indicate with the help of an annotation called configuration annotation. Okay, as I already told before, my Spring Boot by default it will read all the configuration from which file?
Application.properties.
But right now we created 2 files called as custom.properties and custom1.properties.
Properties.
Okay, it's in a different name and a different location actually. So how my Spring Boot will be reading the different properties now with the help of an annotation called property source annotation. Property source. Inside the bracket property source. Inside the bracket double quotes. Okay, first thing, my first property custom.properties is present in which location?
Application.
No, custom.properties where it is present.
SRC new.
SRC main resources actually. So since it is present in your SRC main resources, so I am going to give it as in double quotes. I am going to give it as class path colon custom.properties. So the class path now it was indicating which location it was indicating. SRC main resources it is indicating. Class path colon custom.properties.
So CMP capital.
No, correct. Class path colon custom.properties. So as I already told before, Spring Boot by okay, I'll explain. Okay, the first file is done. Okay, what is the second file is? Custom1.properties. So my custom1.properties where it is present in a C colon it is present actually. So can I give class path?
No, sir.
No, I can't give it. Okay, so now type the next one. Property source inside your bracket double quotes. Here it is present in the file location, that is in the operating system it is present actually. So we are going to give it as file colon double slash.
So everything will be in lowercase, sir.
Yeah, it's lowercase. This slash file colon double slash. See the screen and type it properly. Okay, now everyone go to the properties folder. Everyone go to your properties folder. Everyone go to your C colon properties folder. Everyone go. So in the top left click it. This dot copy that C colon slash properties. Copy that path. In the top left the URL click it. You will be getting the path. Copy that path. Now come and paste over here. Copy the path and come and paste after your file. So is it coming like this? Can you see the screen? Is it coming like this?
Yes, sir.
Now after properties, once again give double slash. So what is your name of your properties?
Custom1.properties.
Custom1.properties. So give custom1.properties. So in the first case, we created your property file in the resources folder. So I'm going to give class path. I'm going to give it. And in the second case, I have created the properties file in the properties folder in the operating system I created. So I'm going to give it as file colon double slash c colon double slash property. Double slash will be taken as a single slash. It will be taken, but the representation it should be like this one only. So as I already told before, Spring Boot by default it will be reading the configuration from application.properties file. It will be reading. In case if I'm going to create my own properties file now, then we have to use what annotation we have to use it? Property source annotation. Okay, we have to use an annotation called property source annotation. So right now we created two properties files. So I created an annotation called two annotation I created, that is
Property source.
property source. Now what you're going to do now, copy the two lines. Copy the two lines and comment it. Copy the two lines and comment it. Copy those two lines and comment it. Okay, so instead of defining separately, with the help of an annotation called
Value.
property source. If I have only one properties now, yes, I can able to define with the help of property source itself. I can able to define. But here we have multiple properties files are there. So instead of defining them separately, I can able to go for a next annotation. Type it. Property sources. Property sources. Property sources. Third one. Property sources. Inside your create a parenthesis, and inside your parenthesis create a curly brace, flubber bracket. No double quotes. Just create a flubber bracket and give enter. No double quotes. So you will be having, you can able to see like this, property source, parenthesis, curly brace, and give one enter. Next line you can see curly brace, close parenthesis. Now paste it. The thing you copied. I told to copy the previous one, property source, comma, then property source, comma, and next you have to copy paste the property source. You enter. So that it should be like this. See the screen and type it properly. So you should be separating with comma. You should separate with comma. So as I told before, by default, your Spring Boot will read all the configuration from application.properties file. In case if you're creating your own properties file now, then I can able to access those properties file with the help of an annotation called
Property source.
property source. If I have multiple properties file now, then I can able to use an annotation called
Property
sources. Okay, property sources. Clear until this, everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now inside this properties file, we have defined certain properties. What are the properties we have defined?
Custom properties.
So inside the properties file, what are the properties I have defined?
Name,
Employee.
salary,
Employee.name, employee.age, employee.salary, employee.email, employee.address. I have defined all those properties. If you see this properties now, all this 5 property, it started with a prefix called
employee.
employee. Yeah. So remember, since all this 5 property contain a prefix called
Employee.
that's the reason we have combined both the properties file in a single class called as
Employee props.
employee props actually. Okay. In case your custom.properties file contain a different properties, different prefix, and your custom one.properties contains a different prefix now, then we have to create 2 different
Properties.
classes. Okay. And that class has to be annotated by what annotation?
Configuration.
Configuration annotation. And next, how you are going to access the properties file with the help of what annotation?
Property source.
Annotation. Here, why I have combined both the properties file now? Because both the properties file contain the same
Prefix.
Okay. So that's the reason I combined both the properties file in a single program away. I combined actually. Okay. But in case if your custom.properties have a different prefix, custom one.properties have a different prefix now, then you have to create a different.
Classes.
But the procedure is same thing. Okay. The procedure you have to do the same thing, but you have to create a different.
Classes.
Okay. And the next annotation. The next annotation we are going to discuss, as I already told before, how I can able to access the information from the properties file to your program with the help of an annotation called
Value.
value annotation. But if I use my value annotation, I have to configure each and every time I have to configure it actually. Instead of using like that, if I want to map the resources of the properties file to a separate bean program now, then you have to go for an annotation called
Configuration properties.
So now define an annotation called configuration properties. Configuration properties, and inside the bracket your prefix is equal to, so all the 5 property have what prefix?
Employee.
The prefix is equal to double quotes employee. Prefix is equal to double quotes employee. Okay. So now in your bean program, in your employee props class, you have to define all the properties. You have to define it. So what are the different properties we have?
Name, age, salary,
email, and
address.
but I'm not going to take the name property because I'm going to access the name property with the help of your
Value.
Okay, because I just want to show, that's the reason. So define the remaining property: private integer age, private double salary, private integer age, private double salary, private integer age, private double salary, private string email, private string address, private string email, private string address, private string email and private string address, private string email and private string address, and create its getters and setters method. Just create its getters and setters method. Just create its getters and setters method. So you cleared out how to map your the resources that are present inside the properties file to a separate bean program.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now everyone go to your right click your com.pack.springboot 4, create a new class. Right click your com.pack.springboot 4 and create a new class. Right click your com.pack.springboot 4 and create a new class. And give the class name as index controller. Give the class name as index controller. Finish. Index controller, finish. So how will you indicate it is a controller?
By using @ controller.
And now here we are not using JSP, no. So what annotation? At the rate?
Rest controller.
Rest controller. At the rate rest controller. Now define one method. Public string get employee. Public string get employee. Public string get employee. Public string get employee. Okay. And before this method, we have to give what annotation we have to give before this method?
Request.
Get mapping
Get
or-
mapping.
All right, get mapping. So give at the rate get mapping. At the rate get mapping, and inside your bracket value is equal to slash prop. Okay. So if I try to give a request called as your slash prop now, it is going to invoke a method called as what method?
Get employee
Get
method.
employee method. And inside this get employee method, I want to return all the employee information I want to return it. Okay, which is present inside your custom.properties as well as your custom1.properties file you have defined. And instead of accessing one property with the help of your value annotation, I have mapped all this property in a separate bean program called as
Employee props.
employee props. But in that employee property, we have defined only 4 property. One property is missing. And as I already told before, now we are going to access the value of that one property with the help of what annotation?
At the rate
Value
value addition.
annotation.
Before get mapping type it. At the rate value. Before at the rate value, and inside your bracket, double quotes, how you will be accessing the property? Yesterday class we have discussed now how we have to access the property.
Server
Dollar.
Dollar.
Curly brace.
And what is the property name is? What is the property name is?
Employee dot name.
Employee dot name. Okay, employee dot name. So define double quotes dollar curly brace employee dot name. Dollar curly brace employee dot name. Dollar curly brace employee dot name. And that is assigned to a property called as. So just define something. Private string name. Private string name. Okay. So the employee dot name alone, it will be assigned to a property called as what property? I think name property. I doubt whether it will work or not. Okay, let me check. Okay, next one. And the remaining property and all, I map it to which program?
Employee props.
Employee prof. So can you guys say how I can able to inject that employee prof into this particular program? You have to use what annotation?
At the rate auto wired.
At the rate auto wired. So type next at the rate auto wired, because I don't want to create any object and all. I want to automatically inject it. So we have to use what annotation? At the rate
Auto wired.
auto wired. At the rate auto wired. At the rate auto wired. Not there. Outside. At the rate auto wired. So define employee props EMP. No, not there. Not there. After at the rate value annotation. Not there. No. The at the rate value private string name is separate. After that.
Okay, sorry.
At the rate auto wired. Employee props EMP. Employee props EMP. So now that particular reference for that particular being will be automatically injected over here. Okay, it will be automatically injected over here. There is no need to create any object and all. There is no need to create it. Automatically, the reference for the employee props will be injected to an object called as what?
EMP.
EMP. Okay, it will be injected to an object called as what? EMP. Now coming to this method, get employee method. Now instead of return null, give it as return name, return name, because we are getting the value for the name with the help of other rate value annotation. Return name plus double quotes plus. So the other property and all are injected to what object it was injected?
EMP.
Now EMP dot get age plus EMP dot get salary plus EMP dot get address plus EMP dot get email. So print everything. EMP dot get age plus EMP dot get salary plus EMP dot get and address plus EMP dot get email. Print everything.